Hi, Rick. All right. Good evening. This is a regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment for June 1st, 2022. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor of the municipal building and sending a copy to the Montclair Times, Star Ledger, and Herald News. Times, a virtual public hearing. A link for members of the public to join is included in the agenda, which is available on the Montclair website, as is a link to the township's YouTube channel where the hearing is being broadcast live and can be viewed after as well. The hearing is also being televised on channel 34. I'm going to call roll now. Mr. Harrison.
Here.
Mr. McCullough.
Here.
Mr. Caulfield.
Here.
Mr. Church.
Yeah.
Ms. Harris is excused. Mr. Moore. I'll have to double check. He may have been excused as well. I'll double check that. Mr. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Vieira.
Here.
Mr. Sullivan.
Here.
And Ms. Martineau is also excused. And that's roll. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the minutes of the May 18th meeting. I have a couple of changes on page 5, line 33. It should be revised to read, a motion was made to approve the application with one condition. And on page 9, line 36, at the end of that, towards the end of the first line, after it's approve the front yard and side yard setback variance, it said, and with conditions.
Got it.
Does anyone else have any changes to those minutes? If not, would someone like to make a motion to approve it with those changes?
Move to approve the minutes with the amendments as noted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have the resolution for the Culpepper property on Carolin Road. I don't have any changes to that resolution. Does anyone else have any changes? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the resolution as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
What's that?
On 55D dash.
And changes to that.
Motion, I guess.
Well, we need a motion first.
Yes.
So I move approval of the resolution as amended with the additional paragraph.
Second.
Okay. So, okay, you want to call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McCulloch,
Yes.
Mr. Caulfield,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
No.
Well, he's not eligible.
You have
No.
to, you're abstaining.
abstain. Okay, Mr. Simon is abstaining.
No.
Yes, I'm abstaining.
No, I'm not. I abstained to the Carolin Road one. For the Mountain Avenue, I can vote.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Mr. Simon,
Yes.
Mr. Vieira
Abstain.
is abstaining. Okay.
And then we have the resolution for the 114 YBR LLC on 114 Yantacaw Brook Road. I have the same change to that one for the denial portion of it. We also need to say they didn't meet the criteria for the C2 variance. Any other changes to that resolution?
So I move approval of the resolution as amended by the chair.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The first application is that of PRP JR LLC for property at 262 Claremont Avenue. This is an application for a variance to construct an unenclosed exterior stair in conjunction with a conversion of a one-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling. The property is in the R2 two-family residential zone and is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 14 of Block 2301. A variance is requested from Montclair Code Section 347-45C1, which requires side yard setbacks of 6 feet on one side and 10 feet on the other. The applicant proposed stairway would have a side yard setback of 0.25 feet. Are taxes paid and is the notice in order?
Yes.
Is anybody present on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, Javier Fuentes, the architect.
Okay.
Javier, I see that Anna, I also added her as a panelist. I don't hear her. I also see that somebody called in. I'm not sure if that's her. Do you know?
I believe she's available in audio. So I think, yeah, she may have called in.
Let me unmute that caller just for a second. To
Sure.
see if
Mhm.
that was her. I think I have a couple call-ins. Okay, do we need to take a recess or anything, or we can just keep going?
We can, we can proceed. I'm sure she'll be able to connect at any point. And
Oh, sorry, Rick, that was a question for you. That was you, Rick, that had spoken
my
up.
apologies.
Yeah, well, I think we can proceed anyway.
Okay. I've just unmuted two callers. If one of them is Ms. Anna Perello, could you speak up, please?
Hello?
Hello, Anna?
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. What
There we
is
go.
your area?
Finally. Okay,
what is
yes,
your area
sorry.
code? Are you
Hello?
201?
I am 201362, yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, Mr. Fuentes, you were previously sworn, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, you're still under oath. You want to proceed?
sure. Yes. Thank you so much. From our last meeting, we took back and we had a chance to go over the parking, as well as give you some of the alternate ideas that we had. So if we get a look at the site plan, at the very top of the property, this is at the back of the property. There is a one-car garage, and there's a space between the fenced-in patio and the garage that's about 28 feet and 3/4 of an inch what we had measured. So we had some room there to be able to work in some parking with a shared, this is the shared drive that you see that comes along and then meets to Claremont Ave. So as far as RSIS, if we go a little bit further down on the page under zoning information, there is a further down, there's a parking requirements. So you'll see a breakdown of what it currently is 3 bedrooms, and what will be 4 with this addition, with this the stairway, and then converting the habitable attic space as a unit of its own. So it would require 3 parking spaces, and that's what we're providing with the garage and the 2 parking spaces that are adjacent to that. So that would then meet the requirement for the parking that's needed. And if we go to the third sheet, you'll see these are the existing plans of the home. So the first floor and the second floor. And so the idea behind the stairway is connecting, as we mentioned previously, on the left side of the house if you're facing the front. So that stairway, as you can see, it's pretty big. It expands all the way up onto the last floor, the habitable attic floor. And there's currently 1 bedroom just before the stairway that faces the front of the property, and then you can see that there's another bedroom as well. So there are 2 bedrooms there. So if we go into the last page, on page 4, you'll see some of the alternates that we had worked out. So one of the ones that we were looking at in the beginning was creating the stairway. And as you can see, because of the distance and the run, we had created this like massive stairway that, sort of, yeah, if you looking at alternate 1, you can see the stairway comes up and it meets up at the back of the house, and then it comes back around. But it became very obstructive, and from a privacy standpoint as well. So we wanted to find a way that we could compact it a little bit. And that's where the idea became in the design that we had currently. But we have explored some of the other alternate ideas, and so I want to show you the alternates too. So here is the idea behind trying to create 2 interior stairways, one being for exclusively just for the habitable attic space. And so from what you can see here, on the first floor, you come into a vestibule. As you take a left, you would be entering the stairway that takes you all the way up to the habitable attic room unit. And then if you go straight through the door, you'll have access to the first floor and the second floor from that point. But because of the way that everything is structured, it would require removing one of the bedrooms in the second floor and we would have to modify the hallway in such a way that it could create some uncomfortable spaces for the bedroom. So this didn't work out as well. And we had looked at an alternate 3 in this option, where here we're looking at, so if you're looking at a little bit further to the right, you'll see alternate 3. And in this option, this is where we're taking the first floor. We have our stairway that has access to the second floor. From the first floor, you would be entering the vestibule, you would turn right. You have access to the first floor main areas, the kitchen, dining, and then you can work your way around to the existing stairway to get to the second floor. But again, that also means removing a bedroom to be able to sufficiently design a stairway that could fit, that could take you all the way up to the habitable attic floor unit. So that became a little bit of a difficult option. So in alternate 4, if we're going up, this is the option that we had spoken up in the last meeting. about trying to create a bedroom. Now, this isn't the most ideal location for the bedroom because one, we would need obviously egress windows. So if we were to try to place it into the corner, it really leaves us with this small like dining space, and this didn't feel like the right choice for the design to be able to create that. And we would then also we would be altering the existing powder room to be able to create a full bathroom because this floor currently doesn't have one. So if we were to try to create this first floor as a unit, we would want to have that as part of this renovation. But as you can see, a lot of these have present their own challenges. So I wanted to just give you guys some clarity on some of the existing conditions and show you some of the different explorations that we were going for. So if we can go back to let's go to the second page. Yep. So yeah, so this is the design. Just to kind of recap, the idea behind it is we're creating a small compact area for the stairway. We're trying to connect to the existing porch and connect to the existing second story landing of the stair to avoid a lot of vertical movement. And it's tucked away behind the front porch. So as you're driving along Montclair Ave, it's not an obstructive view. It's not something massive from that perspective. And yeah, this is the update.
Okay. Mr. McCulloch, do you have any questions?
Javier, can you just remind me of what this looked like last time we were talking about it? I'm looking now at page 2. I guess what's on the screen now, right? And how did that exterior stairwell go last time?
Well, so the design is the same.
Still
we
the
were
same kind of zigzag.
Yeah, because this ultimately became the best option that we could come up with. If this weren't it, we would be really looking at trying to create like a straight run stair, or trying to put something in the back, but it doesn't fit very well. So this is still, from our perspective, the best option for this.
And so the stairwell, I mean, it still crosses that bay window, but it is a stairwell window, that interior window.
Correct.
And this is the least obstructive plan because it doesn't affect the interior. Is that correct?
Correct. That is right.
And what's the material that you're intending for the stairwell? Because I think we also talked about weather and.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so in speaking with some other of my colleagues and looking over the codes, we do want to make sure that for one, it's non-slip, the material that we use, and also considering the proximity to the property line, we want to make sure that it's something that's non-combustible. So we have some challenges ahead in the design of this, but this is the overall layout is correct. It's just the material itself we will need to take care of, making sure that we don't run into any issues with code.
And what's your thought in terms of lighting? I mean, obviously from the door at the top of the third level, I guess there would probably be some kind of exterior light there, but would there be other lighting on the egress from the third floor down to the ground level, or?
I would imagine yes, you're right. There would be one light just at the doorway, near the doorway, and then we would want to have one more light just as you're about to enter the porch, because that'll be the next point of landing. So it'll be the most, we want to be able to light the stairway, and that would be probably the next location. So it'll be one up top next to the door, and then just below next to the bay window.
And the lighting would not be, again, would not,
Oh yeah, and it wouldn't be it wouldn't be something that would create a light pollution. It'll be just sufficient to take care of lighting the stairway for that usage.
okay, both decorative and for safety purposes.
Correct.
All right, Mr. Chairman, those are the questions I have for right now.
Mr. Caulfield, do you have any questions?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Thank you, Javier. A question, how close are the stairs to the property line to the left? Like, what's the clearance of the stairs to the property line to the left?
If we can zoom in a little bit, you'll see I have it in the plan. No, I'm sorry. If you want to go back to the second page, so you can see it's right. Yeah, it's almost aligned with. It's pretty close and aligned with the existing roof eave of the. So we have 3 inches, which it's meeting with the roof eave of the existing porch. And part of that is because of the bay window. The bay window pushes us a little bit out of.
That's
Okay. Okay. Just a couple of questions here, Javier. Alternate 1 that you had, is that an as of right kind of egress that you would not have to go through zoning at all, the way it's in the back? Like if you did that aspect of it, just for my own reference, would that just be not at all needing to go to zoning?
Sure. Sure. Because it does require like a landing, there's a turnaround, and that turnaround pushes us at 6 feet. So it still pushes the line, but in discussion with the applicant, creating a straight run stair straight to the back wouldn't require any variance, because we would be at the 3 feet. We would, as you can see in this drawing, we're already above the bay window, and so we're not looking to bypass that. So if we went right up against that and we went with the stairway, just one straight run, we wouldn't be over the setback line, and we wouldn't require a variance. But it is that would be a massive stair, and considering the height, because we are above 12 feet, we would require a landing. So regardless of that, we would still have to consider that landing at a minimum 3 feet. So that still elongates the stair. And we did, just from a design standpoint, the applicant felt, that just feels kind of, it feels massive. And, from the neighbor's viewpoint, I'm sure it wouldn't be something very nice and appealing. So that's really what we were looking at. And also the fact that it passes the kitchen and the bathroom of the existing home. So it creates a little bit of a privacy issue. So that's why trying to compact it became that.
Yeah. Javier, when I was there today, like 2 houses down on the left, it seems to be a 2-family because they have a fire escape in the back. But there may be similar houses. I don't know if that's the case or not, but they must have an interior stair to get to their 3rd floor as well, right? Is any other houses like that? I mean, I don't see the stairway out like ours is going to be for the future, but like it looks like the house to the left had built a fire escape on the back and then maybe did something in the interior stairs to build that second unit up there.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I'm not sure if that's a question or not, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I think I know what you're talking about, and I may have passed that as well. Um, I do know that a little bit further up Claremont, away from the building department, there's one house that has a straight run stair, a wooden stair on the outside. It's just one straight run, and it does connect to some level above. I don't know, if um, it's a similar condition or not. Um, but from the code standpoint, you know, it requires just one stairway, and it should be fine. So I imagine because that is a like uh, an exterior fire escape, that design is a little bit different. Here we're looking at something not it's not a fire escape. It's we're building this thing and we're making sure it's solid and safe, and uh it's not something as a fire escape.
Okay, thank you, Javier. Thank you, Chair.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Mr. Church, do you have any questions?
Um, yeah, Javier, has the owner investigated any avenues inside the house that could be utilized from the second floor up to the third floor, if like put a stairwell inside the house from the second floor to the third?
Yeah, yeah, and these are some of the from this alternate page. Some of the exploration that we tried. The main thing that came about looking at trying to put the interior stairways, the sacrifice of losing a bedroom to be able to do so, because um, if we're isolating the stairway, and you can see, let's just take a look at the third page so I can show you how. So if you look at the second floor, you can see that that landing area is integral to the connection to these different bedrooms. So if we were able to subdivide that and we didn't have as much height to deal with, maybe there would have been a way that we could have worked our stairway in that pocket, but it's already challenging as it is.
Which
Um,
packet are you talking about?
so if we're looking at the second floor, which is the
Yep,
drawing to the left, yeah.
yep.
So that existing stairway, um, so as you can see, it's integral to the connection to the existing bedrooms. So if we wanted to add in a new stairway, the only way that it could be done, it would be to take over, let's say, the bedroom one, sacrificing a bedroom to be able to create that interior stairway. And which either way you put it, it still requires that, because there's a lot of there's a lot of height that we're dealing with. Um, and that just wasn't a viable option for the owner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Simon, do you have any questions?
No questions at this moment.
Mr. Vieira, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier, well, first of all, thank you for revisiting the comments on the parking. It looks really good. The question that I have for you regarding the different alternates that you're presenting, did you consider going with a set of stairs similar to what you have, the original proposal, but in the southern elevation, so basically in the back of the house? What was the problem with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the challenge that we have there is that it required more height. So currently, the new stairway that we're designing is connecting to the second landing of the stair. So that actually dropped down the height of the stair. So putting it in the back would have required to create a bigger height, and that would have created sort of like a sore thumb sticking out on the back. And when we also looked at that option, do we put it in the back? What we saw right away was, well, we're gonna have to alter the roof structure. There's just no way, because there's just not enough room to put a stair. I'm sorry, a doorway So it just those two things, those two main things, really felt like it wasn't the right design choice for this option.
Yeah, I can see that. And I guess the other follow-up question was on one of the alternates considered, alternate number 4. Was that because the owner wanted to split the house into different apartments? Because what I remember from the original application is that only the third floor will be separate from the owner. So the owner will use first and second, but on this alternate, it looks like it will be a different apartment. Is that correct?
Right. So in the option, yeah, so you're correct. The third floor was to be its own unit. Um, what the alternate 4 was showing was the one of the ideas that we were talking over in the last meeting of the possibility of trying to create the first floor as its own unit. Um, but the challenges were that from a design standpoint, we would have had to cram that space for the dining room into that area so that way we could move the bedroom into the corner, and it just didn't feel it wasn't the right design decision um to create something that had a nice appeal in design. So this was just to show you that we were trying to explore some option of that possibility, um but it doesn't work as well for what we're trying to do.
Okay. Okay. And then so ultimately, the recommendation that you're making is to go with the exterior stairs. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what is the current access to the third floor?
So the current access in the home, so as you're taking the stairs up, you get to the landing space area there where you have it's sort of like in an L-shaped landing, and you'll take the stairs up one more time, and that'll take you to the third floor. The third floor you can see, yeah, thank you so much. You can see it on this floor. So that stair that you see that's in the interior, that's the existing stair, and that just basically takes you up, and then you're in that level.
Okay, and would that change at all with the proposed exterior stair?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay, so you have an existing stairway to the third floor.
Mhm.
What becomes of that stairway if you do what you want to do? That
Oh,
still functions it?
got it. Understood. So yeah, there would be a subdivision there, as you can see, between the stair landing with a connection for the door, if there's ever needed for access, and then we would have to fire rate the below that floor. So fire rate the wall, fire rate the floor below. So those are things that we're going to be achieving in this part of this process to be able to completely divide the third floor from the rest of the floors.
So we're trying to tell from your drawings how that the door functions. That separating the door, the stairs to the third floor from the stairs, for the rest of the house.
Right. So if we're looking at, yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. So this picture you can see on the left, that picture right there there's these two windows. On the right side, that's where the new door would go. And then just between those two stairs, there's going to be a walled subdivision, and there's going to be a door access in case ever needed for an emergency reason, or if there needs to be access for something, then that door has access to that third floor. But that landing that you're seeing there, that is the line where the exterior stair and the second floor, I'm sorry, the landing meets um, at that point, so that you can then egress from here and go down to the front porch.
And how big is that landing?
It's 3 feet wide by, I believe it's 8'1" in length. So subdividing that, it'd be roughly 3 by 4.
Then you would have a door, so under normal circumstances, the people going to the third floor cannot go use the stairs to get to access the first and second floors. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your interior alterations, besides most, if not all, did they all lose a bedroom?
In the alteration options, yes. I would say with the exception of, let's see here. Well, there would be some kind of modification to the first floor if we're looking at alternate 4. Because what we're doing there is we're turning the stair where the landing is, but currently that landing at the first floor is very close. When you're standing there, it's very close to the ceiling. Your headroom wise, so there'd be some modification to the bedroom just above that. But this is the only option I would say that wouldn't alter the ability of being able to have the bedrooms that it currently has. It would give an option for it would give an option to add the bedroom as we would like, but it's not in the most ideal location from a design standpoint.
And that option would have everyone coming in the same front door to the house, and just they would go left or right depending upon which unit they're going to. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Before I open it up to the public, is there anything further you or the client want to add?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for, I know in our last meeting, you guys, held the vote so that we could have a chance to explore some of these options. So I just wanted to say thank you for giving us a chance to look at this over and give you guys a little bit more to look at for the
Mr.
project.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, I just have one more question I'd like to ask.
Okay.
Thank you. Considering the fact that you do have the emergency access from the third floor to the stairwell going down to the first floor, was any consideration given to the possibility of putting an exterior elevator from the porch going up to the third floor? So if you're looking at, if you can scroll up a little bit, Tommy. Okay, so if you're looking at the bay window and then that window on the porch,
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
if you put an elevator on the porch going straight up to the third floor and create a landing that would take you to the door, has any consideration been given to that possibility? And you wouldn't be obstructing any of the windows, or you wouldn't have any additional steps going down into the driveway. You wouldn't have.
Right. So I can't say that that was explored because just from the cost, it would be a lot for the owner to. It would require to some degree a modification of the roof to be able to create that passageway, because currently, as you can see, there's the dormer, and if we're just putting a doorway straight on, it works, but if we're trying to work our way around it, we're dealing with some of the roof that we have to modify to create that connection. So I can't say that that was something that we explored for this.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell from looking at this through the drawing, but it looks as though I mean, in terms of the changes to the roofing, it would be rather minimal, I think. But maybe I'm wrong about that. A lot of it, of course, obviously, with the big dimensions of what a casing would look like for an elevator.
Understood. Gotcha.
We're going to open it now to the public. We'll put anyone who's calling in, we'll put the phone number up to call in. But if you either have comments, questions, testimony, anything you want to say about the application, this is your opportunity. If you're on WebEx, just, we're going to unmute all the microphones and speak up if you have something to say or questions to ask about the application. And if you're watching on YouTube, or if we got channel 34 to work, call into the number that's on the screen, and we'll wait a minute or two in case anyone wants to call in, or if you're on WebEx, indicate that you want to speak up and we will recognize you. Just for the record, is everyone unmuted who is on?
Yes.
Again, this is your last chance to participate. If you have anything you want to comment, testimony, questions about the application, this is your opportunity to do that. And if you need to, you can call in on the number on the screen. Okay, we will proceed. Is there anything either of you wish to say before we discuss and vote on the application?
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. We'll start discussion with Mr. McCulloch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am, I think, generally in agreement with the plan. I think that the applicant has made a good faith effort to try to come up with an alternative that meets the common good in terms of the relationship of this property to the one that's adjacent to it, and gives appropriate access to whoever will be the occupant on the third floor. I think as long as attention is given to making sure that the stairwell is safe and reasonably lit, then I don't have any objection to this application being approved.
Okay, Mr. Caulfield.
I'm at this stage, I would say I'm a little bit unsure, just because I think the architect did a great job, because I think it makes sense that this might be the only way to get up to that, having a unit in that. And this is an area where you could have two families, and it might help on paying the bills, et cetera, and we might get a lot of more applications of this going down the line. But I'm just, I have my concerns in the sense that, it's kind of close to the line, what the precedent's going to be set, et cetera. I'll listen to my other board members to see where they lean, and I'll figure that out. But, I'm just going to wait and see how everybody else feels about it. And then if need to be, I'll make another comment. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Church.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sort of in agreement with John. It's a difficult decision to make for me at this point. I can understand that there's very few alternatives to use of that third floor as a rental property without having the prospective tenant come through the house to get to his apartment. I'm not really enamored with the stairwell on the outside of the house, but that's probably the only method that could be used to reach the third floor. The comments of Mr. McCullough about the materials and the lighting on the stair are very important if that is what we decide to allow. That has to be included. I didn't see it on any of the plans that were submitted. So I'm kind of want to sit back like John does at this point, because I really can't come down 4 square. I don't want to miss anything. So I can't come down 4 square in favor of it, but I'm not totally opposed to it either.
Okay, Mr. Simon?
I'm also a bit torn. I don't like the idea of the exterior stair, excuse me. But I think the applicant did an adequate job of looking at alternatives and kind of trying to comply with our recommendations. So I'm leaning for approval, but I do want to hear other opinions as well.
Mr. Vieira?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also with my colleagues. You know, I've had some concerns that the proposed stairs are pretty much on the property line. I understand that the applicant reviewed different alternatives to solve the issue, different ways to get access to the third floor, and this is the recommendation that the architect is making. If I were to approve this application, I think it will have to be with some conditions as far as the safety, the safe access to that third floor, maybe like non-slip inserts on the wooden stairs, and you know, some other methods of mitigating the risk of slips and falls. But you know, definitely that's pretty much how I feel right now. That would be my only concern. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Harrison, I got an
Yes.
email from somebody from the public who I guess had tried to call in and wasn't getting through. So I don't know if you want to open it back up to the public. I'm going to send the number to them, but that's up to you.
Send the number. I mean, given the problems we've been having with connectivity, I want to deprive someone of the opportunity to comment.
All right. I guess you want to continue with your comments, and I'll unmute it for now. And if they want to, if they can speak up, they will.
You sent them the number already?
I did.
Let's just wait a minute and.
All right. I've gone ahead and unmuted. Hello. Can hear you.
Hello?
Hello. We can hear you.
You can hear me? Hi.
Yes, we can. This is Michael Sullivan, the board attorney. I'm going to swear you in case you have any comments. So would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
Yes, I do.
And state your name and address, please.
My name is Lynette Rock at 258 Claremont Avenue.
Okay, Ms. Rock,
I
do
have
you
a
have any questions or comments?
I have a question and a comment. The question is, given that this is going to be an uncovered open structure so close to my driveway, what will be the impact of runoff during a heavy rain or snow removal, especially after a major snowstorm?
Mr. Fuentes, do you want to answer that?
Yes. Well, you know, given that, yeah, the stairs are, going to be built very close to the, each of the treads on the stair itself need to have a pitch to it, considering that it's exterior and that it's not, and it's open. That way it can, it can run off. But in that area, there is, we have a built area for a landing space that connects to the stair. We have our some of the landscaping around it that would be
But how is there
for
landscaping if it's up against the property line? Where is the landscaping going to go?
well, in this case, the landscaping would be just behind the stair. But what I'm referring to is past the landing point. There's an open area. So if you're taking the stairway like you're seeing in this plan here, you have this extended landing area, and then there's a stair that goes down. Over that space, there would be stepping stones that access to that. There's currently some grass in that area, some landscaping, and then there's also a small pathway adjacent to the house. So there would just be a few stepping stones to that walkway on the side of the house that you see there. And then you would be able to so that doesn't it gives an opportunity for some of the runoff to get to absorb.
But I was thinking in terms of the rain splashing, coming down on the steps, splashing onto my driveway. Would that be an issue? And how will the snow be shoveled, and where is it going to go?
I have an answer at the moment for the snow removal. Considering that, considering that it's there, so I'm not sure I can really talk about that aspect of it. I don't know if in in looking at this design, if it's really a covering it with a roof would be one way, but that's also something that we don't have currently shown here.
Okay, that's my only question, and I do have a comment if.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, again, my name is Lynette Rock, and I live at 258 Claremont Avenue, adjacent to 262. And I have lived here for 27 years, and I'm opposed to the staircase up against the property line. I own a two-family side-by-side duplex, and my entire living space on the first and second floor face 262. So anyone going up and down those stairs could have visual access into my kitchen, my living room, my bedroom, and a bathroom. So while I'm not opposed to the conversion to the two-family, I'm against the variance to the staircase. It appears to be a daunting structure that I will see from every room on my first and second floor. So it is my hope that there will be an alternate way to make this conversion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate Lynette's concern and comments. And if there were other ways for us to do this, I would not choose the most expensive way, which is what's happening right now. I mean, I paid for plans and another set of plans and, 2 meetings, when I can just still put a staircase up without having to go for a variance, doing the original design. The problem is then it passes my kitchen windows, my bathroom windows on the second floor, as well as my neighbors. because her house is like a mirror image of mine. So keeping it confined to the staircase, that's what they're overlooking, her interior staircase. If they were to overlook it, is my point.
But if it's against your house, it's not up against the property line. And this design here is
Right,
going to
but they're
feel
still
like it's on
going up
top
the
of it.
steps, and they're still going to be passing these windows as well as yours, right?
Well, this design passes my windows as well. It looks
Yeah,
directly
it
into my
passes your interior staircase windows.
No, but that staircase goes into my living room. It's not just a staircase like your house is. It's a staircase against the wall, but my living room is right in front of that. So I'm sitting on my living room couch. I can see this structure.
Right. Well, like I said, either way, that, you know, if I don't go for the variance, I didn't want to put this humongous staircase going across the side of the house and back up again infringing on privacy.
Okay,
This
well,
was the best way to do it, in my opinion.
I'm
No,
just-
I get your concern. I understand
opinion,
it. But I also have the right to utilize my home as a two-family like everyone else.
Right, I have no problem with you making a conversion.
I know, well. Right.
Okay. Just because I think I need to, are there any other members of the public who have any comments on the application?
Everyone is still unmuted.
Mr. Fuentes, do you have anything you want to say further in response to that last comment?
Sorry, no, nothing further.
I will resume what I was about to start to say. I think I just, you know, when it comes down to it, one, I appreciate the effort the applicant and Mr. Fuentes made to show us some alternatives, and I recognize the difficulties the house presents. I'm just struggling with creating a new structure that goes within 3 inches of the property line. They're doing it to address a number of issues that they have, wanting to maintain privacy for the existing second floor bedroom and bathroom. I understand that. They want to minimize the changes to the interior of the house, but you know, if this was, you know, anything other than a stairway, we wouldn't even think about a house addition, regardless of the circumstances with the house going this close to a property line. And this is a stairway that presumably, you know, every day, a couple times a day, that one or more people, or at least a couple times a day, are going to be walking up and down. You know, I have the concern that the neighboring property that removing snow from the stairway is going to be exceedingly difficult. It's particularly if the tenants are out during the day and it snows during the day. But you know, it's you know, somewhat concerning that the applicant didn't really think about addressing, you know, what, you know, admittedly it'll probably only happen 10, 12 times a year, but it's only going to take a small snowstorm to make the steps dangerous, even if they have a non-slip thing. So, you know, you know, I'm just not seeing how we justify granting a variance of this size. And I think, you know, it's given a choice between impinging on, by building very close to the neighboring property owner, and the applicant having to make some sacrifices. You know, the alternative floor, as Mr. Fuentes testified, they could maintain all the existing bedrooms. They'll shrink one of them and make a little awkwardness the way the stairs are set up. But I think that pales to what the impact of this stairway would be. Any further discussion among board members? And if not, someone needs to make a motion one way or the other. Or we could all sit here in silence for the next 2 hours.
Someone needs to make a motion.
What's,
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, sure. A motion to not, to deny?
Is there a second?
second
Okay, Tommy, you want to call the roll?
discussion?
Mr. Harrison,
I'm in favor of the motion to deny.
Mr. McCullough,
Yes.
Mr. Caulfield, Mr. Caulfield. maybe-
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes,
Mr. Vieira,
Yes.
Mr. Simon.
Yes.
Okay, the application is denied.
The next application is that of John Falcone. This is for property at 25 Plymouth Street. This is an application to install fencing that exceeds the max height permitted within areas of the side yards on this property. The property is in the R1 one-family residential zone, is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 12 and Block 2203. The variance is requested from Montclair Code Section 347-27A1 in that on interior lots, fences are not permitted to exceed 4.5 feet in height when built in front of the extreme rear corners of the principal building. Our taxes paid, and is the notice in order?
Yes.
Okay, someone present on behalf of the applicant?
Mr. Ian Colley has been added as a panelist. Mr. Colley, if you could activate your microphone and unmute yourself. You don't hear anything in a second. There's several callers as well. I can unmute them to see if he is one of those callers. All right, I'm going to try unmuting the callers. Mr. Colley, are you on?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Mr. Colley, do you have any professionals on your behalf, or are you going to testify solely as on part of your application?
I'm sorry, I may have muted him on accident. Are you still there, Mr. Colley?
Yes, sorry. I'm joined by Mr. Stephen Parcel, who's sorry, bear with me.
I've just made Mr. Parcel a panelist as well. Mr. Colley, what is your area code? 716. 716, okay.
716.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had the correct number unmuted. And Mr. Parcel is a panelist now, so he should be able to activate his microphone and his camera and turn those on. Like, very good. Mr. Parcel, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Okay, so let's start by swearing the two of you in. Let's start with Mr. Colley. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in a matter pending before the board?
Yes, I do.
State your name and address, please.
Ian Colley, 25 Plymouth Street.
All right, and Mr. Parcel, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth in a matter pending before the board?
Yes,
Okay, name and address again for the record, please.
Stephen Parcell, 8 Aberdeen Circle, Flemington, New Jersey.
Okay, Mr. Parcell, you're a builder. You're not an architect or an engineer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know who wants to give the presentation, but whoever, you can go right ahead.
Yes, I'm happy to start. So we are wishing to replace what was an existing structure on our property. It was a 3-car garage that was in a somewhat dilapidated condition, and we wish to reduce the footprint of that to make more usable space in what's going to ultimately be a reconstituted back garden area. To replace that 3-car garage with a 2-car garage. We're maintaining the same setback from the rear property line of 6 feet, but we are requesting a variance to maintain the current set off from that prior structure, which is 3.53 from the side of our property. We're changing the footprint from being the prior structure, which was 20 by 28 feet, to a new garage 2-car of 22 by 22. That will move the front end much more up our driveway, and as I say, the reason is to give ourselves more usable open space in the back garden. We're maintaining the same design as the prior garage. I'm not sure if there's much else, Stephen. I don't know if there's anything else you would wish to add to those comments.
The only thing I would add is another reason that the garage is to be within the same similar setbacks. If you look at the picture number 1, it's to keep the doors in line with the garage with the driveway, so the driveway won't need to be replaced or rerouted to still be able to access it by car.
Mr. Parcell, are you referring to the planning report photograph?
Yes, the planning with the last 4 digits, 9350.
I'm sorry.
SKM.
I'm not sure what that is. Are we looking at the same thing?
I was right off of the Montclair website. I think it was attached with the application. It wasn't when the board. It's not the board pictures.
Let me see. I'm sorry, here we go.
Yeah, as you can see, that third, the third door there isn't accessible. It indeed didn't actually didn't work.
Yes, that's the picture I was referring to as being able to keep the same setbacks and not have to reroute the driveway or the Belgian blocks, as you can see in the picture, to keep costs down. And those are my only comments.
Mr. McCulloch, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Caulfield, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a couple, Chair. The revision survey that you have there showing the new garage, it's in red. You have a 22-foot wide and 22. There's a 6-foot there. You making it 6 foot clear of the property line, or you're holding it to the existing 3.5 that the survey had?
Sorry, that 6.
Oh, that's a 6 behind, correct? Okay.
That's the 6 behind.
6 behind. Okay, gotcha. Okay. two quick ones. I guess there's an art. Is this part of this? Let me see. Get back to that. Okay. There in the planning report, there says something about an existing mature tree. Are you going to adhere to that planning consideration about trying to save that tree in the back?
Those trees have been removed. If you see where the word wood is at the back, there were three actually. Yeah, if you go back at one, yeah, these ones here. So there was a dead trunk here. There was one tree that was leaning heavily over to the side. Having spoken with our arborist, we've removed these and we've ground the stumps down to grade.
Okay, they definitely look like they're in bad shape, but for the ordinance, you got to just remember you got to plant a tree in the future.
Yes, we've gone through the appropriate requests.
What's your plan for the bamboo?
The bamboo has been dug out through the whole of the property. That was one of the reasons in terms of taking the garage down. It would allow better access to actually do a comprehensive removal job around the entire property. The bamboo ran along pretty much the entire length of the driveway into that back corner that you're seeing, then along the back of the property and round the other edge. We've had professionals come in to dig that out, and we have an ongoing maintenance program for that.
Okay, good luck with that. I mean, bamboo is always a intrusive situation. Ian, I have one.
Job, yes.
Yeah, Ian. Two last questions. Ian, there's a drawing that you have here that shows two garage doors, but then there's a plan that's submitted by the architect that just has one garage door. Which one is it? Is it going to be a two garage door?
The single garage door.
Single garage. Okay. Perfect. And one last thing, you have leaders on that garage, getting water pushed out from neighbors and stuff like that?
Yes, we'll have appropriate drainage there. Stephen, I don't know if you have something to add to that.
Okay.
We have, separately, we're working with a landscaper to address broader drainage issues on the property as well. It tends to pool in the area to the right, just in the garden. So, we're putting in French drains, some dry wells and all the rest of it to make that, a usable space.
Okay. Thank you, Ian. Have a good luck. Good luck.
Okay, Mr. Church, do you have any questions?
No questions now, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Simon, do you have any questions?
Yeah, John covered everything. Just to confirm, all the trees have already been removed, so there's no vegetation that remains?
That's correct.
No other questions.
Mr. Vieira, do you have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I guess the only question that I have, in addition to what was already asked, was regarding the foundation. Is there an existing foundation on the existing garage?
Those have all been removed as part of the demolition that's already happened.
And you will be installing a new foundation, I take.
Absolutely. Stephen, perhaps you can give some details around that.
Yes, so the foundation that's going to be installed is, it doesn't have a full construction detail, but as you can see, it will be a concrete footing along with a concrete block foundation. So the footing will be 3 foot below grade, and then the block will come above grade at least 8 inches.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a couple of questions. I want to follow up on the stormwater. You have what I assume will be a gutter running across the front of the garage, and I assume there'll be a comparable one in the rear. Is that correct?
Yes, there will be gutters both on the front and rear of the property, just like the existing garage had.
And will there be leaders on both sides?
If I can.
Yes, that's that. Having spoken with our landscaper, yes, there will be. That will feed down into the newly drained area.
Okay, because the ones on the west side need to be directed so they're not going to the west because of the proximity to the property line. Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then My understanding is the garage will be not as wide as the current garage because you're eliminating that third access point that isn't an access point. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it'll be slightly deeper to go to the 6 feet you're allowed. Is that correct? About a half a foot deeper?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from members of the board? Okay. Are there any members of the public who have comments, testimony, questions about the application? We're going to unmute everybody's microphone who's participating. And if you're watching on YouTube or if you're able to watch on channel 34, you can call in on the number here. If you're on WebEx, you should speak up now if you have questions or comments. If you're calling in, we'll wait a minute or two to give you the opportunity to dial the number that's on the screen and the access code, which is not a quick thing to do. Tommy, just for the record, everyone is unmuted who's.
That is correct. Everybody is unmuted.
Okay, since no one seems to be calling and no one's speaking up, we will march on. Is there anything either of you want to add before we discuss and vote on the application?
Nothing further for myself, thank you.
Okay, we'll start discussion with Mr. Caulfield.
I'm in favor of this plan. I feel that bringing the garage to lesser than it once was is a plus, and all the concerns that I had were taken care of. I'm in favor. Thank you.
Mr. Church,
I also am in favor of the application as presented.
Mr. Simon,
I'm also in favor of the application.
Mr. Vieira,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also in favor of the application with conditions regarding the stormwater.
Mr. McCulloch.
I'm also in favor.
I'm also in favor. I think the applicant, given the location of the existing driveway, has justified not shifting the garage over 2.5 feet to conform to the 6-yard side yard setback. They're locating the garage where it was in terms of the side yard setback. When garages have encroached, we've usually required at least 3 feet be maintained, and they're doing that. And moving it over would create the problem they have currently with the right side of the existing garage. We should impose a condition that stormwater be directed away from the neighboring properties. Any further discussion among board members? Not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the applicant as presented with the proviso of the drainage from the gutters to go away from adjoining properties.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. The next application is that of Thomas Fallace and Victoria Fantozzi. This is for both to construct a detached garage at 602 Upper Mountain Avenue. The property is in the R11 family residential zone and is designated on the township tax maps as Lot 12 and Block 903. Variance is requested from Montclair Code Section 347-46A2A, which requires a 6-foot side yard setback, whereas the proposed detached garage would have a side yard setback of 2.55 feet. Are taxes paid, and is the notice in order?
Yes.
And is the applicant present?
Mr. Thomas Fallace has been made a participant, a panelist, and he should be able to activate his camera and mic at this time. Again, we have a couple callers, so I'll unmute them in a second if we don't hear anything from him. All right, I'm gonna try unmuting the callers. Hello?
Oh, this is Vicky Fantozzi and Tom Falace. I'm sorry, we're getting a feedback.
Just, yeah, mute whatever other device you have on and should be good to go.
Okay, would both of you raise your right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth in the matter pending before the board?
We may have lost them.
Yes, I think we've got it.
Oh,
And we
okay.
do swear.
Okay, and just give us your address also, please.
602 Upper Mountain Avenue?
Okay, why don't you proceed with your case?
Yes, thank you. November 1st of this year, a tree from a neighboring property fell onto our existing garage. So we would, now the garage is currently structurally unsound. It was quite old to begin with, and we are proposing to rebuild the garage on the existing, well, on a modified footprint. The materials we had sent in were to propose to build the garage on the existing footprint, which is 2.5 feet from the property line. After looking over the feedback from the town and finding out that we would need 3 feet for a right of way, we actually have spoken to our architect and asked them to draw up a plan to move to allow for 3 feet from the property line, but we didn't have time to get that new plan in. When we bought the house, both us and our neighbors, the fence that you see in the picture is actually our neighbor's fence that slightly encroaches on our property. It was existing. We had no issue with it, but we have spoken with them again, with feedback from the town about reconstructing that fence so that it will no longer connect to the garage, but actually adhere to sort of the property line. So again, there would be that 3 feet of distance between the wall of the garage and then the new fence. So we asked them to sign something, and obviously, well, I don't think they're coming later, but I suppose we'll find out. I think that's it.
Mr. McCulloch, do you have any questions?
No, I don't really have any questions. I'm assuming the intended use of the garage is for a vehicle?
Yes, so we will be using it so that a vehicle could go into it, but mainly it's used as storage, but certainly it's not used for any sort of, it's not intended for anybody to stay in there. It's just a garage storage.
And the tree that collapsed, that's not the one that's in the photo near the fence.
It is not, no.
Tree being removed, yeah.
It was a complete collapse.
Thank you.
Mr. Caulfield, do you have any questions?
Hi, Vicky. The sewer line, obviously it's not on the property line, it's 6 feet into your neighbors. Is that your understanding? There's a sewer sanitation line that runs.
I can speak to that. That was
Okay.
something that we found looking at the tax map, that there's an easement. And the easement, it appears to be fully on the neighbor's property. It's a 6-foot wide sanitary sewer easement.
Okay.
I spoke with the director of the water utility, and his recommendation was that the planning report's recommendation of 3 feet was sufficient spacing from that easement.
Oh, okay. So we were not going to encroach on that. Okay. And the fence, okay, would not be an issue as well. Okay. Thanks.
Mr. Church, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Mr. Simon, do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Mr. Vieira, do you have any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I don't have any questions. Once again, we're going to open it up to members of the public. We'll put the phone number if you're watching on TV or YouTube. You can call in that number. If you're on WebEx, indicate you want to ask questions or make a statement, give testimony. This is your one opportunity to comment on the application, but we'll wait a minute to see if anyone calls. But if anyone's participating on WebEx and they wish to ask questions about the application or give any testimony or make any comments, speak up now. Tommy, is everyone unmuted so they can if they want to?
Yes, everybody is unmuted.
Again, if you want to comment or ask questions, this is your opportunity to do that. Either call in or speak up if you're on WebEx. Okay. Hearing no one, and we'll just, is there anything either of you wish to add before we discuss and vote on the application?
Just because it came up in the last one, the original garage did not have a foundation, so the new plan has them digging out a foundation up to code and putting a foundation in, so.
We'll start discussion with Mr. Church.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will vote in favor of this application. I find nothing wrong with it.
Mr. Simon?
I'm in favor. Quick question. The documents that we have still has the 2.5. Do we have to approve with the assumption that the modified documents have been submitted?
I think
We'll have to put a
any
condition.
motion to approve should be for the 3-foot side yard setback.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in favor of the application with that condition. So.
Okay. Mr. Vieira?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also in favor of the application. I guess similar to the last application with the conditions regarding the stormwater from discharging away from the neighboring property.
Mr. McCulloch?
I'm in favor.
Mr. Caulfield?
Thomas and Vicky, no one got hurt in the tree falling, correct?
No,
Okay.
thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Unfortunately, that's the second tree that's fallen on our house. Since
Oh gosh, big trees in this town. I'm in
We
favor.
love the trees.
I'm also in favor. I think the applicant has shown that given the driveway location where the garage was located, that they qualify for a C1 variance. This will not result in a substantial detriment to the public good or substantial impairment to the zone plan. There should be two conditions: one, requiring the garage be located at least 3 feet from the side property line, and two, that the stormwater be directed away from the property owner to the north. Any other comments? And if not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman, to accept the application presented with the conditions.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, you're approved. We'll see the board members in 2 weeks. I have a conflict, but I'll figure out if I can be in Folsom Borough and here virtually somehow. It's much easier when I could do 2 meetings virtually, but we'll figure this out.
Before we adjourn, has there been any other talk about in person?
Last meeting, we were, sticking with this for, I think we should discuss it next meeting, see how the numbers are going. You have me being totally torn between hating this in terms of the public participation, which we had another example of tonight, and wanting to be sure that you're all safe when we go and do the meetings. And so I want to, let's see where we are in 2 weeks, and we can discuss then as to, but as of now, we're staying virtually, which probably means that means July will be virtual just because of me needing to inform people about notice. Notice has to say live or virtual. Anyone else have any thoughts further on our meeting? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Good night, all. See you in 2
Good night,
weeks.
Joe.
Right.
Good night.
Thanks, Tommy. Thanks,
Night,
Michael.
everybody.